gonna be interesting. What's up, guys? So today I have kind of a story, but at the same time, it's going to be, I don't know, we'll see how this goes. Let's skip the preamble. But I had a thought that somehow came back to me today, and I guess it was triggered by this lady who I had coming through my line. And she was telling my coworker and I something about how her children are so attractive, and therefore people like strangers always feel compelled to like touch them. Yeah, babies, strangers touching babies. I'm not saying I don't believe her. I'm not saying she's lying, because I know that for me, when I see a cute dog, I want to go for it. I want to touch. But anyways, on the note of children, I would hope that adults understand why doing that is the wrong thing. So I'm not going to say that I don't believe her when she says that. But what I have an issue with is her saying that because her children are attractive, that people, go for them. But anyway, that's beside the point. I think it's very difficult to find a baby, in my opinion, that's ugly. Like, I have never looked at an infant and been like, wow, this motherfucker is ugly. This motherfucker is ugly. It has never happened to me at all. Like, to find a child and to judge them harshly, it just has not happened to me. Like when I was a kid, yes, I was mean to some classmates and I said, wow, you're ugly. But then I was careful because I knew that I was ugly as a kid. So I did not want to instigate anything. You know what I mean? But, anyways, I must stop talking about that because clearly I'm losing control. Anyways, the point that I really want to make in tonight's stream is that for some reason, I have met many, 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 many women, and I feel like even in my family, I heard someone say this, but there was one time, I remember it vividly. There was someone who recently just had her baby, and then some time passed, and let's say, I want to say 4 months later or 5 months later, something like that, passed. And then she was telling, I think it was my mom, she was telling someone, I don't remember who it was, but she was like, I spent all this time, 9 months, plus these extra 4 months afterward, carrying this baby, taking care of this baby, and, looking forward to this baby, only for this baby to end up looking like the dad. And she said it with such contempt, such disgust, such, what can I say, disappointment, bummed out, and junk. And now that I'm older and I think about that memory, I'm like, if I had a child that looks like the daddy, I would be like, hell yeah, awesome. Because you know what it's like to have a child that reminds you of the man that you love. Well, most of you folks who watch me are guys, so I don't expect you to feel like I feel, and, like feel like I express about it, But in my case, it's like that is like an awesome gift for me. It's like, yay, I have a child that totally reminds me of the man who I love. So, therefore, this is like a bonus for me. I would be excited. I would be like, yay, because I already know what I look like. I already know my face and my features. So, to be reminded constantly of the guy who I believed in to get together with, for us to trade our DNA and bacteria and make this product come about, what better gift than that for me? I mean, especially since I'm the mother and I'm going to spend so much time with this baby, taking care of him and everything. It's like, yeah, of course. I mean, I would imagine that the guy who I will marry is going to be incredibly handsome. So it's like I already see my baby as being incredibly attractive. So to me, that's just exciting. But to hear another woman say that about their child, that, I spent 9 months and this and that carrying this baby only for it to look like a dad. And I remember having three times, three occasions that I heard women expressing themselves like this in my presence. One of them, it was a someone who I met fairly recently. She was telling me the story of when she had kids because I asked something about what is it like to be um, being maternal for the first time and junk. Like, what do you remember about it? Because I want to know just in case my time comes. I want to know what to expect, and I know that people's differences, or excuse me, people's experiences vary. So I'm like, yeah, let me find out from as many people as I can what their experience is like, just so that when my time comes, nothing shocks me. When you're prepared, life is just better. But anyways, and then I remember another time where I just so happened to be in the room, and then I was hearing that conversation too, and I'm like, what is the matter with you? Why do you express yourself like that about your child? And not only that, but also the guy who you love. But then when I think about it, most of these cases, if not all of them, I think all of them ended up being folks who split up somewhere down the line, or like they ended up divorced or something. And I'm like, okay, if you end up splitting from the person whom you had kids with, I can see why you would be kind of salty over your kids looking like that, reminding you constantly of another dude if the dude was a bad guy or something. But seriously, when you put everything into perspective, just how terrible, how horrible were you having it in the relationship? Again, I'm not saying that bad stuff doesn't happen in relationships. Like, I understand that some people have terrible experiences, and I'm not trying to blame the victim here in any kind of way. No, it's not that. It's just that when you are going through that frustration while it's happening, you may perceive it as the most terrible thing in the world at the time. But then once you have allowed a long time to pass, and then you look back at what happened, you realize that stuff really wasn't that bad. And that the person who you were with really wasn't that bad. Like, in my personal experiences, I can say that the folks I was with have not been that bad. But at the time when we were um, going our separate ways, I made it a big deal. I was like, yeah, you were not doing this for me, and then this and that. I was being all dramatic and everything. But when I think about it, the maturity that accompanies aging, hopefully, like for most people, that helps you see things so differently. And now I am such a more relaxed and laid back and chill person that I'm just grateful for those experiences when they happened at the time that they happened to enable me to become the person I am today, to where I can actually enjoy relationships much better now and actually handle them. Not perfectly, because no one is perfect, but I am proud of who I am in the present. But one thing is for sure, once I have my kids, I will love them no matter who they look like or what they look like, or, because you don't even necessarily display the traits of your parents. Sometimes we can see traits of other family members, like grandparents or something. So for me, it would be amazing for my kids to look more like the dad, because, I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't have any issues with my look, but for the reason that I explained about every time I see my child, it's like I'm seeing the guy who I got together with, who I love and everything. I hope that we don't have to split, like that us as parents can stay together. But even if we could not stay together for some reason, I would still be happy because I'm like, you know what? Looking at you reminds me of times when I was happy. And a time when I met a wonderful person and we decided to get together and produce you, and we ain't gonna get graphic, but you know, and it's just, I feel like that's a mark in history. When you look like someone, it's you're carrying on that legacy. So for me, I when I see myself in certain certain ways, like especially when I tie my hair, and what else? And I look serious. I look so much like my dad. And you guys know, if you've known me for a while, my dad is not my favorite person in the world. But despite all that, when I look at myself, I think about how the traits that I displayed that belong to my mother, and then the traits that I displayed that belong to my father. And then when I have been able to experience the better stuff about my father, I'm like, you know what? I can see why back in the day my parents made a good match. My dad is funny, and my mom also has her sense of humor going on, and they both had it going on for each other. So for me to look at myself and be like, you know what, I represent that, um, it makes me proud actually. Even if my father's not my favorite person, I feel happy that I can be looked at, and then my mom is like, you know what, um, you turned out to be beautiful. And of course, my mom is going to think that I'm beautiful. Which parent doesn't think that their children are beautiful? But I can see why that beauty is unique in her eyes. And I have asked her about that before. I'm like, Mom, you know how sometimes I look like my dad and stuff? When I was a baby, I looked more like you, but the older I get, I keep looking more like him. Well, do you ever feel some type of way about, you look at me and you see him, like, I have his eyebrows, I have his body type, but in female form. I have his height almost. I'm maybe like 3 inches shorter or something like that. But do you ever feel like any kind of resentment or something? And she was like, no, I don't even think about your dad. So why would I associate you when you didn't have anything to do with the issues we had? Why would I penalize you for that? And then when she shared that with me, I felt so much better because, um, of course, she told me the story of what happened between them. And there is some bad stuff that happened on his end and some bad stuff that happened on her end. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I look like him and everything, but I don't feel disgust about that, you know? And there was a time when I had issues with my image, but I just got over it. You know, um, I just learned to deal with it better, cope with it better, just accept myself for who I am, be nice to myself. And when I did that, I just became a better person, just happier overall. And I think that's what's more important. So maybe for that reason, that little, I don't want to call it a sensitive fiber in me because it really isn't. It used to be, but now it's like I'm chill. But to hear women express themselves like that about the guy who they got together with to make this baby, it's, it kind of like makes me feel bad. Unless it's a situation where it was forced, then I get it could be traumatic for you to have a baby and it wasn't under the best circumstances. But in this situation, I refer to it as you deliberately, and you actually agreed to do this with this guy because you liked him or you were attracted to him, whatever. So why would you not be happy that your child resembles the very person who you were excited about and you just loved and are thrilled for? So I don't know. I understand that I'm different. I tend to be, my opinions tend to sometimes not be the most popular, but here in the channel, most of you guys seem to roll with whatever I say. I don't know if it's because you genuinely feel that way, or you just like hearing a different point of view, or you may not want to make me feel down or something. But yeah, I anything that people seem to avoid, I seem to go for. Like at work, for instance, many people tell me, why do I go out of my way to get stuff done? And I'm like, because I'm on the clock. And when I'm here, I'm getting paid to do work. And I just want to respect that. Do I think I do more than what I get paid for? Yes. But come on, just while you're there, just do what you have to do. See what I mean? So, anyways, starting to ramble on. So let me see what you guys are saying. My sons and daughters must have long hair at least. Of course they do. The difference is if a dog doesn't like being touched, you'll be getting stitches. I got you. Parents will be naturally biased toward their own kids. If the mom is disappointed, the kid looks like the dad. She sounds kind of narcissistic, unless she hates the dad, but then why breed with him? Exactly. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I would expect that kids come about under the right circumstances, you know? So for me, if the child looks like me, of course, I'm not gonna hate them because I think that I have it going on for me, you know. Like I think that they would look beautiful and whatnot, but from my point of view, it's like I'm tired of my face. Give me something different. So to see my guy's face and them, it's like okay, well he's away working or something. I get to keep his miniature self. Like it's like baby whomever I get married with and have kids, you know? So how exciting is that? It's like, you look so much like your daddy, this and that. It's I don't know, it fills me with so much joy to be reminded by another little person of, you know, the dad. How can I say this? It's as best as I can put it. To me, that excites me. Um, but then, if you are someone who got into a relationship with other interests in mind, I can see why you don't feel all warm and fuzzy like I do. But for me, it's maybe I'm just a very sentimental person, and I'm not seeing everything with a wider scope. But I don't know. I like to attach meaning to things, and when I interpret that phrase by these women, it's like, wow, I'm so different from y'all. So I have never told anyone, especially the women who express themselves like that, that that's how I think, oh, you don't like for the child to look like the dad? Why? For me, that's awesome. How freaking cool. We go grocery shopping, just the baby and I keep looking at, it's like looking at the dad, yeah, I'm proud of my man, period. So I would want for my child to look like him, you know? But anyways, I I don't know. A teacher wanted to talk to me about my son's conduct. She told me some girls kissed him and he gave them each a kiss back. To be fair, he quoted, "It doesn't matter if I think he is handsome or not, the results speak for themselves." Hello, Zam. Hey, Jimmy. It's been a while since I saw you um, live here, so good to see you. But yeah, you guys, that's my opinion, really. Those are my feelings. I maybe am exaggerating. Maybe I'll turn into one of these women when I get my child. It's like, yeah, I waited 9 months for this, so it's totally gonna look like me. But then again, you guys know that I really don't care about my appearance much. I don't dwell on it. The only time I have made my appearance the center of attention is whenever I do my little haircut videos or like the hair tease videos because I know some of you just love me doing that. So I like to please. And what else? Whenever I explain the features about me that I'm happy with, have I made that video or is that pending? I think it's pending. But yeah, I'm never really focused on my looks. So how can I possibly look forward to my children looking like me? How about if they look both like me and the dad or just the dad? Like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess I don't like to focus on me too much unless I'm looking at something and generating an opinion on it, which is the whole reason this channel exists, you know. But other than that, it's yeah, I having the spotlight on me is kind of strange sometimes, you know. I need to get used to that. One thing is that if the kids look like their father, well, then he knows there are situations where that's a concern. But, well, we live in a pretty messed up world. Sorry, I need to read that again. What? One thing is that if the kids look like their father, well, then he knows they're his. Oh, I got you. I got you. It's sad that there's some situation where that's a concern, but we live in a pretty messed up world. Jamie, since you mentioned that, I'm gonna share a story, and that is my own personal story, and that is when I was born. Um, my mom was actually being accused of like, or sorry, I was denied as a child. Like I was told um, that when I was born, it was believed that someone else was my father, and I'm like, why? You know, knowing my mom the way that I know her, I'm like, how can someone say such a thing about my mom? And then it didn't help that when I was born, I looked just like my mom. Like, I was pale as a baby. Like, I had zero tan to me. That came later. And then my father is not exactly pale, he's actually a brown person. And my hair also seemed to look more on the straight side. So my waves and curls and all this fuzzy wildness did not really show up until way later. So when I thought about that, I said to my mom, Mom, just isn't that unfair? Like, it's up to you to reassure someone who the father is. And sometimes women themselves, if you've been, you know, hoeing around, you do not know yourself who is the father of your child sometimes, you know. But in a situation of monogamy, which I have zero doubt that that's how my mom always was, you know, it's kind of hurtful to have that happen. And then when I now that I know the story that that's what happened to me, I'm like, wow, that is crazy because this is stuff that seems to happen to other people or you hear about in TV shows or movies and junk, but then it actually happened with me. That, you know, that leaves you feeling some type of way. And then when you get rejected before you're even born, it's kind of, although I was just an infant and I have no memory of what went down, you know, the stories as I'm told, to know that that's what happened, it kind of makes you feel messed up. Like for the longest time, I felt guilty about the stuff that happened between my parents, and I'm like, I know that is absurd because I have no say in my parents' matters, and I was not influencing them in any way. In fact, if I exist, it was because um, a reconciliation was taking place. You know, like my mom accepted to like give each other a chance after all of the mess that happened. Um, and then she was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll give you another chance. And sometimes I want to criticize her harshly. I'm like, Mom, why did you do that? This guy, you know, he messed up in a big way. I'm not sure if I want to share exactly what happened, but if you know me personally, you know what happened. And I'm like, there is no way that's forgivable. But you went ahead and did it. And then I guess in the name of love, stuff happens. And I guess that's what she did. she explained that to me. She was just looking at the future. She was like, it really would suck for kids to be raised without their father, you know? So, in a sense, she was sacrificing herself to give us a better life, how she thought she saw fit. But then I said, Mom, as admirable as that is, it's just not right, you know? So, but like I said, at least I moved on from that. I got over it. I get to say that I'm not affected by that anymore. But yeah, it was messed up. It was a messed up feeling, and a messed up situation to go through. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy that some people out there doubt their own paternity. Um, and if that happens, then I want to say that you're not in a good relationship. It shouldn't have to take that to for you to get a confirmation. But I understand when you lose trust for someone, it would be difficult to be like, yeah, that kid. Okay, turns out it looks like me, so okay, we're good. You know, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a lot of mixed feelings that I have in my mind right now. But anyways, and Score Geek US $2. Oh snap! Oh, okay. Wow, I got my first super chat contribution. Thanks so much. That's exciting. I was wondering why there was like a blue square and a new symbol. That's cool. And yes, you guys, it appears that I have been doing a good job or something to where um, I got my channel to do that monetization thing. So I decided to just give it a shot. And someone had mentioned way back to, as soon as I get it enabled or approved for monetization, to enable something called super chat. So I looked at it and they told me that you guys could send me money or something. And I'm like, I don't know about that, but if you insist, and then, yeah, I don't remember who told me that. I would love to give her a shout out. I think it was a lady. So yeah, that's exciting. It's exciting. So I appreciate that. Um, yeah, that is hurtful. Sorry that happened. But yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I cried over this for a long time, for years, on occasion, sometimes very often, sometimes I don't know. I was miserable over this for a long time, but then I said, you know what? Fortunately, a couple years ago, it wasn't even that long ago that I was able to move on. A couple years ago, I got to be at the right place at the right time, even though I did not interpret at all at the moment that it was happening that that I was finally going to let go of that matter, but I happened to be somewhere where the story of my past was being discussed and that I was not expecting for that to happen. And then the person who the information was being shared with, it wasn't someone who I wasn't comfortable with. But I would have preferred to have had a heads up before, my business being divulged like that. But I found myself under immense levels of stress. I had to leave the room. I was sobbing. And then I was like, you know what? I think it's time that I let go because I'm already grown. Eventually, hopefully, I'll be a mother. So there's some stuff that you just need to be able to cope with and deal with and handle. And it's not going to be pretty, it's not going to go your way. Um, and out of frustration and desperation and impatience, we want to do stupid things. And trust me, I've been there and I've done that myself. But in a sense, I'm really grateful for my experience the way it is because it taught me a lot of discipline. And I do not think I would be this the person I am if it weren't for those tough times. So at least I feel like I can handle a lot of pressure on the mental and emotional department. I'm not perfect, But at least when it comes to that personal aspect of me that I never really share, um, I definitely do much better. My biggest concern has been my manifestation as a girlfriend. I always feel like I always feel like if relationships don't work, it's automatically my fault, and I like to defend the guy a lot, even though the guy clearly is wrong a lot of times. So that's something that I'm trying to work on. I'm like, okay, let me be nice to myself. Let me be kind to myself. If guys like me, it's because genuinely they find good features about me. So let them do their thing. Let me allow them to be men in my life, you know. But for the longest time, I was terrified of guys getting close to me. Um, my grandfather was the only male figure in my life who I trusted throughout my childhood. Then I lost him. I didn't have any male figure in my life that I could be like, wow, recurred to. My brother lived with us, of course, until I was 13, but it's not the same. He's just a sibling. He's only 5 years older than I am. So what does he know? What can he contribute to me um, when it comes to being a father when he's not a father? Like the daddy stuff that daddies are supposed to supply for their little princesses. I didn't get any of that. And the only stuff I got was whatever my grandfather, was able to display um, for me as a grandparent. But other than that, I was clueless about guys. And for me, guys were just intimidating creatures. I'm not going to sit here and lie. And then in one of those interesting turns of events and, life having twists and turns, I have a channel now with over 1,000 people, and like 97% of those people are guys. So it's like I was, according to my analytics, it's like I was deprived of the male experience, and then it's like, oh, you need some guys in your life? Here you go, have thousands. So to me, that's pretty flattering in a sense that you guys say such amazing stuff about me, but it also helps to reassure me that hey, I'm really not bad. I'm really not terrible. Okay, so yeah. I know that rambling was kind of unwarranted, but as of lately, I find that the more I talk about the things that troubled me, the better I cope with it, and the faster I get over things. I had no idea how easy letting go of terrible things could be if I just express it and let it all out. Um, so, so yeah, I'm not used to really discussing anything. I'm not a social person at all. So I'm just glad that life turned around for me, and yeah. Let's see. I wish to have a good brain and God fearing kids. Looks don't get your respect. I know that's right. That's true. My kids are rotten. You're on your way to superstardom. Don't forget us little people. Oh nah. Like, you know what? Now that you mentioned that, don't forget us little people. I have always contemplated if I wanted to get together with like you guys who are here all the time, how would I do that? But then I'm like, oh man, why can I not handle social situations? So how about this? If the opportunity arises, I will commit to personally just at some point in life doing some kind of meetup or something so that we can hang out. Because I would love to meet some of you guys. Like, you have no idea how much you have done for me. Even silly comments, um, even the ones where I was being challenged. And what I mean by that is I may have had a really strong or, sorry, a weak opinion on something, like the evolution one. You guys didn't really like what I had to say on that one. And I'm like, man, I feel like my opinion is not that bad. It's just that I'm not skilled at explaining it. So being under that pressure of I'm live, I'm saying stuff on the go, how do I collect my thoughts and say things? That I had no idea that was a skill that you had to have. And it also doesn't help that I wasn't taking what I'm doing here seriously. Like, I looked at this as a replacement of my journal. I had no one watching me. So, how did I know that this was something that people would do for a living, actually? And that there is a little formula to follow to make your performance better. I'm like, what? All I'm doing is talking and rambling. You guys are taking this way too seriously. But then when I think about it, I started looking at what other people do. And then I'm like, oh, that's why communication is important. That's why enunciation is important. Clarity in your voice is important. Some people would tell me on that World Without Men video that I need to work on my presentation. And I'm like, I don't reply like this, of course, but in my mind, I'm like, dude, all I'm doing is telling a story. Like, somehow someone found this and they posted it on the right site or something, and somehow I became relatively viral. I don't know if 100,000 views is viral, but I got more views than I ever dreamed of getting. So I'm going to make a video that's going to be called the fascinating aspects of the comment section, and then the opposite of that, and you guys will see where I'm coming from much more clear. But I'm like, chill out. I'm just an average person. I'm not claiming to have the solution to the world. I was just sharing a story and what I gather, and then how I visualize things. That's it. But at the same time, it's cool that people were saying that, because I'm like, you know what? Clearly, I have good things to say. I have interesting stuff to say. How about if I present myself better, challenge myself at communication? Because I promise you, I am not a very social person. Like, at work, sometimes we have to do extra, like if we have some kind of fundraiser going on, for the community, of course, or something, you have to ask that extra question. I am the worst at that. The only way I do it is if I turn it into a game. Like, let me see if I can not miss asking someone for a donation or something like that. But sometimes when I think about that next step, asking that, I get like this chill running down my back, and I'm like, why is it so hard for me to just ask a question? It's, and then I think back to my childhood, and I'm like, I didn't have any friends. I didn't hang out with anybody. My adolescence, I didn't have any friends. I didn't hang out with anybody outside of school. I was always playing video games. The act of me speaking, like me physically producing sound, that was something I would not do often. So sometimes I get tongue twisted and junk out of nowhere, and I'm like, oh yeah, because it's been 3 days since I spoke to another person. Like, sometimes I end up with 3 days off in a row, and sometimes I don't talk to anybody. Like, I do write and type and message people, but the physical act of speaking, I would go those 3 days without doing it. So it didn't make me feel bad, or I wasn't frustrated in any way. It's just that I realized that I lived a very sheltered life. But although I was sheltered, I have always felt confident about my thoughts, about my opinions, my mental capacity, if you want to call it that. So now, um, that's part of the reason why I also started making videos too, because I'm like, I write so much. I have stacks upon stacks upon stacks upon stacks of journals, but they don't talk to me. I All that I see on those pages are produced by my mind. My mind can only get me so far, can only um, produce so much. So how about if I share some of that, but to the public to where it has the potential of being found. And that's what happened. And that's what this channel is about, really. So the only difference is that I expected to only have like 20 or 30 people, but then somehow I ended up with thousands. And I appreciate that because it is stressful. Like I may look chill and whatnot right now, but it's not always easy. I guess I make it look easy, but I'm always under this little pressure of I'm being watched, I'm being heard, people can interact with me, but I what am I afraid of? Why am I this creature who's just afraid of so much? I wasn't always like this. So that's why I no longer do streams while invisible because I don't know if you guys remember, but there was a time when I would stream something and then make it public, and then you guys were like, you were live 10 minutes ago? I was here. I didn't see your notification. And I'm like, I wasn't really trying to put myself out there, but now, anytime I stream something, I'm not afraid to be there, in real time. So yeah, you guys, I guess I keep rambling on and on and on, but that's the beauty of this, when you say something and then one thought leads to another one, leads to another one, leads to another one. That's why I could write forever. My mind just doesn't have a stopping place. And yeah, I'm glad that you guys enjoy it and that you guys, I guess, um, when you visit my channel, you look at it as an escape sometimes. So if that helps you as much as it helps me, I'm happy. I feel like I've done my job, which I didn't ask for this to be a job, but I guess it has the potential of becoming a job, and I would be glad to. I love helping people um, from a distance, kind of like um, I can help people up close if it's like the elderly who need help lifting stuff and whatnot. I'm not afraid of being hands on like that, but I'm not very comfortable with having people that close to me. So, but I'm working on it, and I see the benefit. I'm a much happier person now that I have opened up more and come out of my shell. So I'm looking forward to see where life takes me. Cause yeah, lots of changes taking place at a rapid pace. So, anyways, let's see. It was me. Yeah, it was you. Thanks so much again. No, you're not terrible. Blessings and peace on your heart. Thank you so much. I forgot what video though, but good luck. I'll try to support when I can. I appreciate you. You're not necessarily afraid, just very modest. A beautiful trait. Hey, Snake Eyes. Um, I don't know when you arrived at the stream exactly, but I totally made a reference to you. But anyways, if you guys are wondering what I mean is he is one of the people who is responsible for me making those hair tease videos. Am I right? So anyways, you guys, I think I have rambled on for enough, and I have clearly um, gotten sidetracked, but it was exciting. I'm glad that I shared some more details about me with you. And yeah, yeah, I don't know what else to say. I heard it. Oh, there you go. Good boy. I did it just for you. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in, and let me know if you have any other thoughts based on the actual topic about, what women say and whatnot. Honestly, that's all that I have to say. I'm just a really pro pro boyfriend, I guess. Like I'll always stand by my man, even if we are having challenges, and not only a man, but just friends in general. I'm a very like loyal person. I just believe in people. Maybe a little more than I should, but I like to give people their place, and that's I would definitely be the kind to stand up for my kids. Yeah, my kids are awesome. They're going to be awesome. And even if they are flawed little beings, thank goodness you're supposed to be flawed. That's how you get shaped. molded. So, yeah. Having a relationship with another person is the best way to grow. Absolutely. Yep. And not only romantic relationships and just friendships in general, but the relationship that you have with yourself is really important. I only fairly recently did I start that with myself. I I just never thought of myself as another person. Like to put that into words is I know me for me because I am me inside of me all the time. But when I finally started to do better about having a social life, I'm like, yeah, I can see why that person thinks of me the way they think. Or I understand what it's like for someone to see myself through someone else's eyes, especially if this person is good with communication. I feel like sometimes people want to say more, but they just don't know how to express it. So when you meet someone who, for some reason, is a good writer or is good talking about feelings and stuff, those are my favorite people in the world because I feel like I can just find refuge in them. Um, and at work, I have the pleasure too of knowing a couple people who are like that. And like maybe 2, 3 years ago, when I had a huge struggle going on in my life, which I intend to share that story too, but I'm not ready for it. I need to get my mind together for that. They were there for me, and that's when I started opening up more when it comes to myself. I'm like, yeah, I'm always this reserved person and I'm quiet, but if I express something, then I may get help. It's amazing the stuff that can happen, the good stuff that can happen when you share things about yourself. And sometimes people give me advice that I didn't know I needed, and it's helped me so much. So yeah, you guys, that's pretty much it on that note. All right, thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.